All right. I believe should be live with sound.
Awesome. Hey folks, this is Dan Fedor. I'm here with the extended Blue Bottle family. We're all going to do some playthrough of the newest patch, hopefully showing off some of the new features we've been working on. But feel free to ping us with any questions or feedback you might have, and we'll do our best to keep on top of chat. There's 2 chats, depending on where you are. There's one in Twitch and one on the Discord, so you're welcome to watch and or chat in either of those places, whichever suits you best. So without further ado, I guess, Corey, do you want to take over from here?
Sure. Hey everybody, I'm Corey. I'm one of the writers on Ostranauts. Some of you know me from the Discord, and I'll be driving the new patch today, showing some of this stuff off. We also have our social media team on board here, so we have Karis here. Karis, do you want to say hello? She might be tweeting.
I am here.
And then we have Josh, aka Joshu, another social media manager, recent to the BBG team. What's up, Josh?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all in the chat.
We are now 50% English, British, UK,
yes.
Whichever you prefer.
We're taking over.
Slowly just taking over, yeah.
That your accents are gonna rub off. So we have some goals for today with how we're going to run the stream. Please throw questions out whenever you'd like, and Karis will kind of relay them to me because I actually can't see them come through. But the goal for today is, I'll explain more once we get in, but we're going to start a new character, and we're going to spend a little bit more time in character creation to show off some new stuff, some of which you can kind of see teased on the screen here already, our new splash screen here. And then we're going to see if we can't fix up an entire ship and start making some money by the time the stream's over. That's going to be actually a tall order. This is an
ambitious plan.
I know. It's a tall order. We'll
is
see.
Really going to be able to do all that?
We'll see. So you'll see already we got some new stuff here, including a mortgage and some debt collectors and a black market fixer, which we'll get into as we start. So I'm going to overwrite Miss Gina Friedman here.
Zombie Punk is asking if eating people, or assuming eating people isn't in yet, and that is correct. Although, as Naiba kind of hinted at, I think Naiba is actually the first person to have the distinction of being murdered by an NPC on camera. He shared a screenshot or video of that the other day, and I've only seen it show up in the logs. I've never actually seen it happen from the player's perspective. So you can be killed by an NPC, somewhat accidentally. So.
So these are just a procedural kind of face generation system we use, but now you can actually interface with it for those who haven't been around in quite a while. So we can change the hair and put glasses and stuff on. Here, let's mess with the lips a bit. I don't want to lose this character too much because I like the way she looks. But let's mess with her lips a bit. So here we are, we're Ursula Highsmith here. Pretty sweet haircut, I gotta say. And there's beards now, but we won't put that on Ursula. This is our character generation system. You're in a little pre-station called Chargan Station, which is just character generation station. And here's the career kiosk, which starts your career. Right now you start as a shipbreaker. So in the world, for those who don't know, in the world of Ostranauts, you are sort of in a back-breaking labor situation where you're merely working for a wage, breaking ships for IoT Miwa Corporation, and among other careers, but right now this is the one. And you're trying to save up enough money to mortgage a salvage pod to kind of like get around the junkyard and build your own ship. So you can go through these events and such, but we won't spend too much time on them. I'll just mention what happens so in case they come up later. We see a spare locker, we're gonna hack that, and you'll see that we made a new friend who watched us do it. She thinks we're cool, so we're going to keep an eye out for Victoria Stewart, who's a fellow shipbreaker. Sorry, I interrupted you, Dan. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to point out that this is sort of mimicking the Traveler role-playing game, pen and paper role-playing game character creation process, and some other games probably follow a similar vein, where you get to make a bunch of backstory choices that give you contacts or skills or personality traits that you can then later use in the game. And generally it ends when you get access to your first ship.
And so you'll see just now so kind of like a rich scion of the IO Corporation where we work here on the shipbreaking station walked in, and we hacked them and got some money as a result, but we also made an enemy, this fella down here, Travis Pittman, who we'll also keep an eye out for. They look like a manager, so
it's a cinematic sounding name,
isn't it? And quite a face
Travis
too
Pittman
down there.
That's like a very good mustache going on, I think, right?
Yeah, that's a true enemy. We're trying to take an engine part now, but that didn't work or something. Maybe it did. We're gonna hack this engine. Approached by a shady colleague, one of Travis's friends, no doubt. And we've come to the first new thing, which is that you're offered several different, well, in your career, basically, you kind of stumble on different ships you can possibly mortgage out to yourself if you'd like. This is the most quote-unquote affordable of them, and it's literally a shipping container, as you can see, that some clever individual has put a cockpit into and one single can of RCS to thrust with, and some crude power. So this would be like a shipping container boat or something. But the thing to kind of pay attention to here is that we got a mortgage for it. There's just a mere $1,800,000, $1.8 mil, if I'm reading that right. And we have
1.8 mil.
We got a payment per shift number here, which is about $5K. Down here, this is also new. We have a shift timer, and in our capitalist dystopia here, if we choose to mortgage this ship out, we're going to be on the hook with the bank for that much per shift, which is about every 6 hours. So we can either, and Chad can kind of chime in here, we can either decide to take this kind of crappy ship with a low mortgage, which would give us kind of a little bit of risk out there when we're salvaging, because there's no life support in this. I just heard a crazy noise. Was that Twitch? Anyway,
I did not hear it, so it might have been.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just looked. You had a pop up for a follower, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That wasn't an Ostranauts noise.
Oh God, what is that?
So anyway, and Chad, if you guys want to take this shipping container, chime in. But we could also continue our career and maybe go for something slightly more expensive, maybe a little bit more safe. This is the cheapest, most unsafe, basically, is what I'm saying.
Maybe while the folks are chewing on that decision, the gist of this career decision is, if you like the ship you're seeing now, it's probably a good idea to take it now, because it may not be offered again later, and it's almost guaranteed the next offer you get will be a different ship,
right,
and it may be the last time. So it's almost like rolling the dice, but you only get so many rolls of the dice before you're stuck with whatever one comes at the end of your career.
We just got the question over on Twitch about what the most expensive ship is.
It's currently, we have a bunch in the works, but currently in this patch we're on right now, it's the pod you're probably familiar with from before, and there's two worse than it right now. So that's
the most expensive starting ship.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And
it's I can't remember what the price is, but the payment per shift is as high as like $17K or something. Because that starting pod,
it's 6.5 mil for the ship.
Yeah, so it's about 6, or maybe, I guess it's way more expensive, basically. But that has life support, so we've made some other changes about how far you can go into space, so that would let us go a little bit deeper, well, without as much risk. I guess technically we can go as deep as we want in this death container here. So anybody in the chat, or what should I do here? You guys want to take this thing or keep going?
No decisions yet, other than Zombie Punk saying they haven't regretted buying the game on day one, even though they fly the ship as well as a blind cyborg with a death wish.
I think I'm going to continue and just see what comes next.
A gambling man.
The Gambling Man. So another kind of locked barge. I'm going to see if we can make another friend here, and we did. We got Aaron Collins and Victoria Stewart, 2 buddies of ours. And here it is. This is the ship you're probably more familiar with. It's got some life support on it, and it can get us a little deeper. For the sake of the stream, though, we're going to try something new. Oh, I guess I have to take it.
You're stuck with it.
This is the one.
You're on the hook for 18 grand every 6 hours.
So my plan to start paying shifts just got very difficult. But hey, let's try it. But the good thing about this pod is it can get us pretty deep into the junkyard to like maybe start salvaging some real nice gear. So, okay.
Wait, so did you press that by accident and now you're on the hook for this mortgage?
Well, I had thought that you go through 3 cycles of ship picking, but I guess it's somewhat randomized how many you get stuck with. So it just kind of stuck me with ship 2, which...
You rolled the dice, you paid the price.
Yeah, that's me. I'll be regretting it once the debt collectors come. I'm going to make myself beautiful because Ursula Highsmith seems pretty attractive to me down here. And then...
Questions from Twitch chat while you're loading up on personality traits. What's the middle ship? There is like a basically a platform with a little cabin and chair bolted onto it and some maneuvering jets. So that's in the middle ground. It does have an air pump and O2 supply, so you can actually refill it if you run out of air, unlike the really tiny one. Pale Horse says, next purchase on the wish list is Ostranauts. Love Neo Scavenger. Thank you very much. A lot of Neo Scavenger fans have kind of made the jump to Ostranauts because they are a shared universe. So hopefully you'll find that enjoyable when you get there.
I am also a huge Neo Scavenger fan. I still play it all the time. So we talk about Neo Scav all the time with this game.
We want to keep them sort of in the same voice and the same tone, as well as the same universe. Probably the main difference we're finding right now, though, is in space. The economy is still fairly alive, but it's extremely slanted against regular people in favor of sort of the billionaires class. Whereas down on Earth, everything is just kind of fallen apart, and you have islands of civilization and ruins everywhere else. So. A little bit different in terms of kind of the lay of the land, but it's still the same overall tone.
Okay, we got some new art here that maybe you guys haven't seen, which is a bit more indicative of this part of the game, which is when you first get your starting pod. So here's a kind of like a little shot of our starting pod here. Beautiful.
Wait, I didn't know this had changed.
Yeah, you snuck it in last night. Yeah.
Just last night.
Oh my god, that looks really cool. I love
Isn't it?
that.
Some of you may have seen this in one of the teaser trailers. I think it was the opening shot. Yeah, we have some art we haven't used yet, so we should start using it.
This is one example of this kind of encounters we're working on in the game right now. So this first one is just finding your derelict, which is like, as you can see here, where there's this big junkyard, and it's up to us to kind of go scavenge a little bit beyond the eyes of the sort of harbor masters and the security and such. So we're going to start doing that, which places us here in the game proper, which is us inside the ship that we just mentioned. We have this pad that gives us our objectives. So if you want to be directed a bit, you can. And the first one is to use the Nav Station here. So we can fly this puppy. But before we do, just real quick, I want to show you guys, just so we know how this thing flies. We got 2 RCS a 2-can intake system. These 2 blue cans are just these gases that blast the ship for some Newtonian flying, which we'll talk about in a minute. And we got our battery that's powering everything, and our life support system is this very crude oxygen pumping out of here, which has actually linked to our oxygen sensor up here. And we got a heater and an extra battery. So this thing's a pretty good ship.
What's that red book on the ground there?
This is for people who are true true lovers of detail. Somebody has left the Polaris Standard Navigation Console Owner's Manual. So if you're truly invested in not dying, you could read this and figure out everything you need to know about flying this ship. But who has the time for something like that? Instead,
Karis had the time to print it out and bind it.
I did. I was gonna say, like, I swear we pick up on the manual every stream, and I should maybe put together a video of like every time we're like, Dan hints and is like, "Hey, what's that bug?"
it does. It will 100% help you fly, I promise. But no, you only want to read that if you're that kind of player, which I am. Somebody's also scrawled us a little note about not crashing if you trust whoever left this there, which. Luckily, I'm an expert pilot, so none of this really matters. I say as I crash headlong into the asteroid. The name of our ship is You Have the Answer, which is truly badass. And we're...
How far out is the nearest derelict there?
We're pretty far.
Wow.
So...
Sparse pickings today.
This is also a new thing that we're working on if you're on this patch. Dan, should we talk about it or just let it kind of express itself as we go here?
Well, the ships are spread out further than they used to be. So I think it's worth saying at least that much.
Yeah.
And it's quite possible that a chunk of them are on the other side and they just all clustered there.
Right, because you have
unintentional, but
you have line of sight in this game, right? So we can't see beyond this big asteroid over here. So like all the way over here, there could be a bunch over there. Right. Oops. So for now, I'm just gonna aim towards this cluster over here and see if we can find something. So we've been getting a lot of questions about how flying works on the RCS system. So, Dan, you want to get into that, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you've ever played Asteroids, there's a lot of overlap, but the main thing is it's a Newtonian flight system, which means you have momentum and you'll just keep moving in a direction until you apply thrust in another direction, and that's true of rotation as well. So if you start turning, you will continue to turn until you apply reverse thrust to come to a stop again.
Like so.
And the UI has a number of like readouts on the right-hand side of the map. You'll see VREL, VCRS, RNG, and BRG. Those numbers are actually pretty important for like, especially zeroing in on something really far away, because it's hard to kind of gauge the point of your ship, which is a triangle, and whether it's aiming at the thing you want. But BRG is your bearing, and 0 degrees is straight ahead. Whatever you have targeted, if it's 0 degrees, it's straight ahead. And it goes from 0 to 360 in a full circle, just like if you were piloting a naval ship. The range is the range between you and the selected target. VCRS is sideways, how fast you're moving relative to it. So if you're kind of going straight at it, that should be pretty close to 0, but if you're kind of going at an angle or sideways compared to it, that'll be a high or low number, like non-zero. And VREL is just your relative speed to the object. Regardless of which direction it is, it's just you could be going straight towards it at that speed or away from it or side to side.
And so the way these engines work is, this is actually how contemporary craft fly in space as well. It's just these little blasts of inert air that will apply thrust, and then you're just going to continue going in that direction, right? So the reason that's important for gameplay purposes is you have a fuel count here, right? This reactive mass, and it's in those blue cans we just saw. And so if you're just going to be blasting your fuel the whole time, you're just going to... oh, crap. The fuzz are on me. I'm just going to speed up a bit, but you're going to run out of fuel pretty quickly. So what you want to do is just kind of like, as long as you're not being pursued by police officers anyway, you're going to kind of like get on a heading, blast a little bit of thrust, and you can just speed up time here to get there without using too much fuel. Now, the reason that's a problem now is because every 6 hours or so, and I'll show you guys, every 6 hours or so, whoops. Let me get off the nav station first. Did I just bug it out? Oh no, I'm on pause.
You paused it.
Yeah. This is shift 3 of 4, as you can see down here on this bar, and every every shift, our dues, our debts need to be paid, and so we owe our mortgage to Ojiso's bank right now. So we're on the hook every 6 hours for $18,000, in addition to whatever else we owe for our crew members and various bribes and threats and that you accumulate in the universe. So right now it appears to be 1410. So we have about 2 hours to make $15,000 or thereabouts.
No problem.
I
Can
am
I
not
pause
confident.
for two things? One, the music kind of came up pretty high there. Do you think we could cut it maybe?
Yeah,
Unless
I
it's
got it.
just me. Does
No,
anyone
it's
else
pretty
think
high.
so?
I got it. Like that.
And then the other thing, a question came up a little bit ago on Twitch. Will we ever consider accepting player-made ships? And I think the answer there is possibly yes. There's already some ships in the game that were made by Naiba. So if we get to the point where we need a lot more ships and some folks are able to produce some really nice ships, we'll definitely talk to them if we see some nice stuff showing up on Discord or wherever you share them. But as far as like an actual system for submitting ships, kind of like through the game, like hitting a button to upload it, I'm not sure yet. Maybe not. That's kind of like a content moderation question, which I don't know if I want to tackle just yet.
So that's my proximity alarm, which is letting me know I'm close to this derelict here. I got a pretty bad cross velocity, and now I'm spinning like an idiot. But I'm
Good
trying.
thing you got all those N2 tanks.
I know, yeah. See, if I was on the other ship here, this would be very bad because I'd be wasting all my fuel. But we're okay in this ship. Yeah, let's dock like this. What do you say? Don't crash, Corey. Don't crash. So we're going.
We just had a very good. Oh, sorry, Corey.
No, go. I'm just telling people that I'm trying to dock to this docking ring. That's all. Go ahead.
We had a question about: are there any plans for space anomalies, wormholes, black holes, asteroid belts?
Oh boy.
And also, are there any plans for other jobs such as mining?
So let me start with the anomalies question. I think the answer there is mostly yes. So it is, again, the same universe as Neo Scavenger, which has its share of unexplainable supernatural things. And those may be slightly different in space than they are on Earth, because kind of the nature of things that people see in the dark are different in both places. But yeah, there's going to be weird stuff in space. And then some of the questions there, like asteroid belts, those are already in there, but you don't have enough time and or fuel to get there in the current build, because we'll have to add a long-range travel option. But it's the whole solar system down to major asteroids and small moons. And we have quite a few places we'd like you to be able to visit in that system, and each one is going to have kind of its own idiosyncrasies and legends and potential supernatural or technological points of interest.
This is that planet. That's our system, by the way. All modeled in the game here. These are the inner planets.
And it won't actually render things like the moons of Jupiter won't show up until you zoom in on Jupiter, but they're there too. So the other question was, what was it?
While you look for that, I'm just letting people know that I docked to a ship. It's called the Discretion/Valor, and it appears to be some type of testudo freighter, according to my sensors. You can see that on the, you can see that here. So I'm expecting it to be maybe big and more of like a work ship, because that's the sort of testudo way. And I'm strapping on my pressure suit here to see if this ship is worth taking.
The other question was, will there be other jobs besides mining? And that character creation process, the yellow kiosk, is where we are determining our history. Right now it's just shipbreaker, but some of the other things listed there are some early candidates for the next career after shipbreaker is mostly fleshed out. So things like maybe a prospector, maybe a detective, maybe law enforcement or something like that. So I think there's tons of cool careers in space we can explore, but I think we're just scratching the surface of shipbreaker now, and that'll be kind of like the pilot episode, if you want to think of it that way, that we're figuring out all of the things you can do.
This
How's it looking, Corey?
ship looks very, it's like shockingly good.
Is there stuff on it? I see 1 or 2 canisters. But there is stuff on it.
It looks extremely good. It has.
Is this a trap?
I can hear the smile just in your voice.
Well, it has. I mean, it has the fuel tanks, and look at this. It has like all these reactors. Looks like nobody's gotten on
We
this.
get it out.
Is this like a newer ship, or has this been in for a while?
I
Do we
don't
know?
think I've seen this ship.
This looks like a Mesa to me, which is the second wave, the second batch of ships that got added once we had the new interior tiles.
I'm gonna uninstall this door. There is
Corey,
something.
how much money do you have to make now, and how long do you have to make it?
Oh my god, the reactor's completely intact. Let's.
1 missing battery. Other than that, this is like a complete ship.
That rules. Karis, to your question, I have $2,000. And I have to make. Well, it looks like I have to make up to. It says down here actually, end of shift cash reserves are -15. So I need to make up that difference right now through salvage.
So what's your aim? What are you looking for to be able to? make up
Okay,
that much
so the hive. This is a junkyard, and everyone here is a shipbreaker, right? So all this stuff is technically owned by IoT Miwa, the corporation we all work for. We're trying to make our way as a freelancers, so we can't really be stealing stuff out of their junkyard and selling it back to them. Previously, you could do that in the game. Now you can't. So now, even though that I did find this ship, and I'm going to try to illegally salvage it, it's not like I can just sell all this stuff immediately back to my bosses. It would be a little suspicious if I just showed up with one of their ships and was like, hey, you want this? So
I found this for you.
yeah. Oh, there is a hole in the ground. Okay, that's new. Unless I just uninstalled the floor. I think I did. So what we're going to do is see if we can find a black market contact to sell some of these higher value parts to. So that would be things like a reactor or those big fuel tanks, things like that. First, really quick, I'm going to see if there's a nav station in here to see if this thing can even fly. Because that would be the greatest irony of all if I just found this beautiful ship that just had no way to fly. I would just sob quietly. Anybody remember where
I was
this
offended that your first ship was no effort, big score when he's been striking out all afternoon.
I know, I'm shocked too. It's a bit of a shame for the stream because it doesn't show the full range of the junkyard, but that's okay. We can keep looking. Let's see. Does anybody remember off the top of their head any of the shipbuilders where this cockpit is? Oh,
It'd be in the
get a
room you're going
load!
to there.
I got 2 of them, bro. I can fly with a second pilot like a Pacific
It's an
Rim.
embarrassment of riches is what it is.
This rules. Okay, well, let's try to get this thing going. Crucial parts of making another ship work is the power and the environmental system. So you can breathe in here. So we're going to start with the power.
So you're gonna get this up and running now. So you're not gonna use it as scrap. You're turning it into your own ship.
I think I am. Yeah. I mean,
Oh my God.
it seems to be missing a lot of conduits, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty sweet ship.
Yeah, when you turn the lights on, we may have a change of heart. So,
Yeah, let me
We'll
turn
have
the
to
lights
see.
on. Let me do that first. I did uninstall a floor at some point. Now I've lost track of it, but whatever. All right, let's get this bad boy working.
We're going to get a live demonstration of how to turn the reactor on.
Yes, possibly, but I believe it might just work through batteries if I install a conduit loop here, or maybe just flip this switch.
Naibo was telling you, just do it, switch it.
I did
Oh my
switch
gosh.
it.
Wow.
It does
Look
look
at that.
pretty nice.
I don't think I've ever seen a run of conduit that complete.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's almost like the table just forgot to degrade this ship, which
It just got here. They just parked
rules.
it.
Yeah, it looks like maybe this is the boss's ship and he's coming back for it. Maybe that's why the cops were after me. Well, hell yeah, we're gonna fly this. We're gonna fly this bad boy and make some money.
You do have a missing floor connected to the room you're in, judging by the exterior thing in the top right corner.
It's the one I uninstalled. I was trying to uninstall the door and then I uninstalled the floor. I think it's like right here. Where is it?
Wait, so this issue
Next door up, maybe?
This issue isn't even from the ship. This is just Corey coming in and wrecking it.
Yeah, I was trying to uninstall the door and I uninstalled the floor. Nobody should let me in space. First of all, this is Ursula, not me.
So right where that conduit is on the floor up there, or actually that might just be a piece of floor. The next door up and to your right.
Up and to my right? Right here?
Yeah, if you walk one door up to your right. So that patch of stuff on the floor there, back again. There's like a blue kind of grate on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like loose floor, and that might have come from the doorway immediately to its right.
Right. Oh, yeah, there it is. You're right. I'm going to install it then. Oh, there's two pieces of missing floor. Let's make an Ibamed and use a patch, shall we? These are patches that'll quick seal a hole in the ground. You can read all about it here if you'd like. But I'm just going to install one if I can. Hole patch. So I have to get the conduit out of the way first, maybe?
So I might.
Oh, there's no floor there to patch?
Oh, right, so I gotta install it. Gotcha. Okay.
I might murder this name on live stream right now. But Corey, I believe there may be a friend of yours in the chat.
Yeah?
Judging because it's a Philly-based studio. Gossamer Games?
Oh, Gossamer Games, yeah. That's they make a game called Soul. I'm hearing my proximity warning. I hope it's not someone coming to get me. Yeah, that's Gossamer Games. They make a really fun game called Soul. Is that Tom Sharp? Hey, buddy.
Hey, Tom.
So there's one piece of missing floor there. Did anybody see any extra floor lying around? We did.
What's all that?
Beautiful, beautiful.
This is the supply room.
I cannot believe the ship we found. They just left a drill right by.
This is a
They're coming back to do some work.
That's probably who it was. Flying by us.
Like, fly around with the other ship docked to you. Like, you just drag it.
Technically,
Yes.
Yes.
You'll get a warning about wrecking your docking ring by doing it. But until we have kind of two docking rings, one for towing and one for just regular docking, it's all fine. Like, you won't actually damage it, it'll just pretend. But yeah, your little tug is actually specifically designed to do just that, to hook up to a larger ship, sort of move it around, position it like you would see at an airport with one of those airliner tugs.
Is there not another? I guess there's not another floor that's missing. I thought there was. Nah, but you can tell me. Is there a second floor missing? I think there's not. Because I'm walking under it right now. I think we're good.
Well, if you hover over the rooms on either side of the doorway, they both say compartment, right?
Uh-huh.
So you should be sealed, at least complete rooms, even if there's like a slight crack somewhere.
So
And-
let's try to get this bad boy flooded with some
And I
gas.
think that room up there that's dark might already be flooded behind a door, and the alarms have gone off.
So if you're new to this game, there's a very advanced sort of like physics engine below all this, about all these gases that kind of, help you breathe in space. Right now I'm in a pressure suit, so it shouldn't matter. But if we're trying to flood this ship with O2 and N2 so that we can breathe safely, you got to have a uncompromised hull. This one appears to be already uncompromised, and these air pumps are pumping, as you can see, into here. So up here, I'm about to open the door, there's a bunch of air that was sealed, but now I unsealed it, and that's why these alarms are going off, because they're like, don't take your helmet off. And these pumps are now pumping all the air down into here, because I'm hoping that we can just flood this entire dang ship.
It actually looks like it's holding. Like the O2 N2 readouts in the top right corner are going up. So those pumps are working their bums off, filling this giant ship up, but it's holding, so.
So let's... I mean, the safe thing to do, I suppose, would be to just close this door and just kind of not use the back of the ship too often, you know, and just keep it sealed up here. But then I couldn't...
Well, you're running off of batteries, though, right?
Yeah, I should go... Let's go get the reactor going, shall we? In fact...
Maybe they're fine. Like, what's the status on them?
They're pretty full. Seem fine.
Oh, yeah, they're not burning down much at all.
Well, look. You can hear this alarm. It's like kind of going on and off because it's kind of getting to the point where we're not kind of... There's no more, air needed. So I think we might be good. I know it's a little annoying with that air alarm, but let's see if this bad boy flies.
Well, there may be a leak somewhere if it's doing that. Seems like it should have...
Here, I'm just going to close this door because we know that this compartment up here was at least space safe. Yeah, see, look, the alarms went off. Okay.
Yeah.
Smiley ZP on Twitch says, is running a crew by fear possible?
Yeah. I suppose.
So it's intended to be possible.
Yeah.
Eventually, we want you to be able to use your own captain style, management style with your captain, and then, you'll have to deal with the consequences. Right now, crew management is, even though better than it was at launch, it's still pretty flaky at times. People are having massive mood swings and then frequently end up with esteem issues and or altruism, like feeling too greedy to basically do anything at all. So we're working on that, kind of like fixing all the social moves so that they're a little bit more balanced and result in that trough less. I think the main thrust of the game, one of them is you are the captain, you get to run the crew the way you want to run it. So hopefully you'll be able to do some creative things there.
Now undocking from our previous ship. Let me turn off that proximity warning. Because we don't need it anymore, or at least it'll be here if we do need it later. And now we are the Discretion Valor. We're saying goodbye to You Have the Answer. Now I guess it's worth saying that the intended design here, and this is why we got extremely lucky on the stream here, is that all these ships kind of close to K-Leg here are they're a little easier to get to from other scrappers, other shipbreakers, and so they've mostly stripped them all out. And you actually have to get pretty deep into space to find really nice choice pieces. I just got extremely lucky by getting this. I was intended on docking and showing you guys how crappy these ships were but we just got a really great one. And if you go further out into where it's a little bit more risky, you get a slightly nicer one. But we have lucked out, so now I can show you some other stuff. I can show you some new stuff at Derelict Station. Naiba, you've been playing this new patch the most, right? It's true that this thing is crazy nice for this range away from K-Leg, right? I know. Look at all this.
Naiba says that's basically an impossible ship. It shouldn't have happened.
Yes.
And I agree.
Bug or feature, we'll never know, but we got a nice one, folks. But that's great because we want to show you how this new kind of mortgage paying thing works anyway. Look at all this remass. 2,000 kilograms.
Quickly does that go down when you thrust?
It's pretty fast. I mean, it's a big ship. It has those 4 Kangs on it. You know what?
I mean, you're already up to 340 meters per second on that big old thing, so it's pretty maneuverable too.
I also started the game with that intake regulator. Hold on, I'll show you. Because of I took it off that ship in the in our career trajectory or whatever. So if I were to install this, we would basically just have one of the better ships even possible in the game, which is awesome.
Now, it's worth pointing out that you may have a really expensive ship in almost perfect condition, but you still don't have $15,000 to pay off your debt for the next 6 hours.
Dan, let me have one thing. Let me
We
enjoy
don't
myself.
have a way to like sell your ship back to
That's right.
back to the station
Will we
to unmortgage
eventually
yourself.
have an ability to like take a ship back, you know, fix it all up, and then sell it as a whole, or
Well,
I think yes and no is the answer there, because generally speaking, yes. I want you to be able to shop used ships at the shipyard and be like, that's the one that speaks to me, and I'm going to buy it. And the same way you can like sell the ship you have now to kind of help finance it. But in this specific case, you would be selling it to the people who own it already.
I just want to point out I'm burning so much RCS to not run into this asteroid right now. And if I was to crash this gorgeous ship on stream, I would be humiliated. This is how much this thing
and
is.
so you should be.
The mass of
Because
this
it's got,
thing,
like, a
I just had to drop 1,000 RCS just to get this thing turned around and not slam into the asteroid. This thing is a hoss. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yep.
It's a
No,
big-
I think
it's a big ship.
I think that's worth pointing out. You're driving a heavy ship, and you're going to pay for it.
Oh my goodness, it's heavy as hell. I'm not on the right trajectory right now, right? So like, I'm on 1 times, right? So I'm still drifting backwards here. I have that other intake regulator. Do you think I should just install it? Would that help?
It's more of a space-saving thing because you can have 4 canisters hooked up in a smaller footprint.
This thing is going to be a fortune in gas.
I'm glad to see that the game balance is working in that respect. So,
Okay, so I'm at least on a good trajectory here, so I'm going to speed up my time. Now, here's the thing. As I speed up time, you'll see that our shift... Hold on, just make sure I'm not slamming into this asteroid. I'm not, right?
that's looking good to me.
So this shift is going to go up, right? So...
It'll be interesting to see if you can undo... 160 you could probably undo. I was going to say, you're going to have to basically reverse course to dock with K-Leg if that's what you're trying to do. But 160 is actually not too fast.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about the cross velocity because I've done this before and just like completely ate shit. So, if I had
You are
wasn't
flying at 8 times speed too. Just
yeah.
So you know.
So I'm trying to dock with this station here, guys, in case that wasn't clear. And we're gonna see if we can find a way to make some money. 15 grand to be exact.
2 questions picked up from the chat. The first one is, if you upset your crew enough, are they going to mutiny? And then another one is, could you, obviously at the moment you're owing debt to people, but could people owe debt to you as well?
Yeah.
So the first question, I think there are 2 or 3 ways. Yes, I guess the crew can mutiny, or will definitely be able to mutiny. But right now, what they do is they do certain coping mechanisms when they're really upset, up to and including trying to kill you, or smacking you around, or quitting their job.
Standard coping.
So
mechanism.
I want that vocabulary to expand and be a little more interesting over time. So eventually, yes, they will do more than just quit. And then, can you indebt other people? It's possible. I haven't really run into that many situations yet because there's nothing like selling a ship to another person yet. But I don't think I would say no to it outright either. I guess that's kind of wait and see. I guess we'll see how that turns out.
I mean, the systems
there's a
would
few other
work, right?
pieces.
The system's in place.
Oh yeah, like you could.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the means to apply a debt to another person, it would just work the same way it does right
Yeah,
now.
right.
But there's no like UI to make you do that in the game right now.
So, like, theoretically, you could become a crime boss and just make other people run around and run favors for you and such.
Yeah, actually, we added basically line items to encounter or to interactions to handle another thing, but that would also work here. We could say, if you use this interaction on a person, they are indebted to you for this mortgage.
Right.
So a modder could actually mod that in right now if they wanted. Well, in the next patch that's coming out.
Soon.
It's Chico when you need them.
Yeah, Chico.
Not around today.
Chico's $6 million cat ear headband.
Oh, don't, honestly. I'm trying to get, well, we, as in me, has been trying to get cat ears into the game, but there's been too many issues with them. You wouldn't think that there would be so many issues, but there are.
When you start layering all those face parts onto each other, it's like a club sandwich of issues.
So we are now entering OKLG. Should I wear my jumpsuit? No. Yeah, let's wear my jumpsuit. Let's look respectable. No, don't do push-ups. So this is OKLG Station. Currently the only station in the game. And this is where the other shipbreakers hang out. And now that we're docked here, we can use this terminal, and if I had some money, I could buy some more reactor fuel. We're not using our reactor right now. We just did all that on battery. We can fill up our battery. We can get more O2 and N2. That was the fuel, the remass we were using. But all that stuff is quite expensive. And once again, we are 1450, so we are an hour and a half away from our debts being due. So you would think, hey, Corey, why don't you just strip off one of those giant tanks from your ship and just sell it back to the supply kiosk here, as we could in the past, and just make your money that way. Well, unfortunately, supply kiosk only buys, this is only the kind of stuff they give to wage workers. You can buy some food from here, you can buy some whole patches, and you can buy and sell those items, but this is the man here. This is the company man, the OKLG man, so they're not going to be buying anything they're not going to buy back their own stuff, right? They're not going to buy back a giant reactor.
They'll buy the hard work, low value stuff like pieces of the hull, floors, walls, equipment you might find on the ship that other spacers could potentially use. But you basically get cheated out of money for it, so it's
not a good way
keep
to
you
make
under
money.
their thumb that way.
Company store. We're spending script. First of all, here's Travis Pittman, our worst enemy up here. And second of all, there's a rumor that somewhere on this ship there's a black market dealer who will do some shady business with me. Let's see if it's Travis. That'd be funny. Hello, Travis, my old nemesis. What's up? So this is our social system. We can see Travis here. They're an enemy, a well-groomed one. I guess that's referring to the mustache. And they are feeble, fragile, slovenly, and ugly. We know that much about them from our past. Normally you wouldn't have this much stuff, but we have a history, Travis and I.
He's your enemy because you're beautiful.
I am gorgeous. Look at those jawlines. I'm just kind of shooting the breeze with this guy to see if eventually he left me. He snubbed me. If there's any rumors about a black market dealer. Let's talk to Jaden Osborne or Mia Stone. Maybe one of them has. Aha! Jaden Osborne, a black market dealer if I've ever seen one. Look at those mutton chops.
Well, he looks like a weed dealer anyway.
Bro, what are you holding?
It's
the bartender. Okay, so the bartender will sell me vodka. Not who we're looking for. What about Mia Stone? Although
Looks like Mia has the munchies.
Mia? What you got here? See, appearances aren't everything, folks. Look at this. This is our black market trader, I believe. Yes, the black market. So, this is what Mia is willing to buy right now. And she's looking for a fusion reactor. I'm trying to look at the high value items here because I got about an hour and a half to make this cut here. The highest value reactor I see is a fusion reactor, which we have one of, obviously, but I don't want to sell our fusion reactor. She'd also take the intake regulator for $2,000. Or a nav station. Actually, we have 2 nav stations. You don't need 2 nav stations.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I think that might be the best way out of this, is to sell one of our nav stations to her. Now, these things change and kind of at unknown intervals, so we know she wants a nav station. We know I have a nav station, so I'm going to make that transaction happen by uninstalling our nav station and hoping by the time I get back, she's still interested in that. Now, if we didn't have such a great ship on this first find, this would not be so simple. You'd have to go back into space and find what you're looking for. But luckily, we found a ship with 2 nav stations, which is just just a plum ship.
How frequently does she kind of change her mind about what she's looking for or not currently? Can I ask that?
Yeah, it's still under design as late as today, but Dan, I don't know, should we spoil that or just let people figure that out?
Yeah, sorry, if you don't want to, I was just curious.
Well, here's what we'll say. The intended design is that there's supposed to be sort of like an almost like organic feeling market out there of just like people coming to her and buying and selling at various times. So theoretically, I could go out there and be like, you still want that nav station? And she'd be like, nav station? Like, we don't need that anymore. Like, I already sold, I already bought enough, or et cetera, right? So...
Okay. So you have to be pretty...
I would just...
quick.
Yeah, it got to be quick, basically.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the closed beta, Naiva and I, because I think Naiva was finding that the fixer's storage space filled up pretty quickly, and you'd have to wait a fairly long spell before everything refreshed and there's more room to sell stuff. So I think we're going to have to tweak that a few times to get the right frequency and the right amount of storage space for a fixer so that it's useful but not maybe too luxurious. And I think longer term, maybe like what they'll buy and whether they can talk to you about what they'll buy, we might be able to find ways to make that a little bit more convenient if you're a close friend of theirs and less convenient if you're not. But I think that'll have to come in sort of incremental steps.
Also, we kind of naturally have a relationship with the black market in this current patch, but that's actually going to be a step as well. Like either you make that relationship in the pre-build in your character generation, or you kind of have to prove yourself to this person by doing something maybe a little shady. So right now, things are a little easier than they ever will be, I'll say. But let's sell this nav station.
There's a question on Twitch. Intro screen has somebody vaping on it. What are the range of consumables going to be eventually for these poor indebted sods? There's actually an in-world wiki of like products and brands and places you can go on the Blue Bottle Games website, which goes into some of the things we plan on doing. Some of those are in game now. Some of them haven't made it in yet. But short list. Thank you, Margaret. Short list is there's cigarettes, like tobacco cigarettes, marijuana, alcohol, energy drinks,
basically everything
like
a gamer
all kinds
needs.
of cultural foods. It's meant to kind of feel like blue collar staples, the kinds of things that
You might find it at a truck stop, maybe.
Yeah, in a vending machine or something like that. But yeah, there's a big focus on kind of the culture of space trucking or space mining or space salvaging to feel a little bit more like the Alien universe or Blade Runner or Cowboy Bebop or those kinds of worlds.
So I just realized I thought I was selling that nav station for $20,000, but that's just what she was buying it. That's what she was selling it to me for. And she only bought it for $5,000. So we're still,
which is still better than you'll get anywhere else.
Yeah, so we're still under the gun. I'm gonna sell her the Hydra.
I think that's a safe move.
I just I don't know. I'm just realizing now that even with this plum ship find we just had, this starting pod is extremely taxing on the old bank book. I would advise everyone be careful if you. I don't think I'm gonna.
You got into 6 million of debt and then immediately swapped ships like the first Derelict round.
Who needs it?
Well, I mean, the bank doesn't care, right? I mean, it's not worth anything to them. What it's worth to them is my servitude, essentially, right? Like, they just care about debt peonage, right? Because if you look, I took a loan out from Ojizo's bank, right? And so they have a relationship with IO or any of the ship sellers, and to them, a ship, you know, they're so rich, doesn't really matter. But to me, it's freedom, right? So, you know, basically all they care about is having me in their pocket to pay them off indefinitely. A little similar to something called student loans. You guys ever heard of those? Where the money matters a little bit less to those those people than just having sort of like a monthly. Oh, don't kill yourself, Corey. Don't die. Oh no! Right when I start talking shit
Rookie
about
move
Navi.
there, rookie move.
Okay, sorry, buddy. I'm not gonna die.
There's a comment from Naiba about your distasteful use of the power overlay at all times.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Also, I think it's fair to say that the mortgage company is eventually going to care about the status of the ship that you've mortgaged as collateral.
Right.
Because the likelihood of you paying off your mortgage is probably lower than then just taking the ship after you die and selling it off. So
it could get repoed or whatever.
we'll have to, kind of deal with shirking the rules, I guess, later on.
And without spoiling too much, it's not like we haven't thought through the implications of what it means to be stealing, in this case, a giant, beautiful ship right from OKLG and just flying it back to the station. Yeah. So all that stuff is...
So those police cruisers that were, or patrol ships that were flying around, so far they won't do much other than buzz around you. But I think the end game for ships like those is, if you are doing something untoward, like stealing a ship from the boneyard or even stealing high-value loot from the boneyard, they should be stopping you or punishing you for doing that.
And that stuff is like more near term than you might think, which is sweet. Yeah, so now we still gotta make rent in an hour, and I'm gonna do it by seeing if...
You got a couple hours, I think you got 3 hours there.
When is it?
1800?
Oh, right, 1800, yes. Oh, good. So we got time. Well, I guess it's just the thing I'm a little worried about is how much fuel it takes to fly this thing.
Yep. You haven't refueled yet, have you?
No, and we can't use the torch fuel as remass yet, right? We have to use the nitrogen in the intake regulators.
There is a chance the torch technically works, but it's super like Apollo era burn. I think you have to go into the reactor room.
Yeah.
Open the cycle on the control panel, and the ship will just start shaking. And I think at that point you're venting the reactants in a directed blast out the back, and that would accelerate you. But
sounds dangerous.
It's not the preferred way of going somewhere. I think what I would do is probably refuel at least your N2 canisters. How much does that cost you?
Well, I have unpaid fees as well, so I forgot to pay for docking, so I gotta go back there anyway. So yeah, let's pay the fees, and then I'll also see if I can refill this bad boy. All right. So picking a big giant ship, not as smart as I thought it was at first.
It has its own problems.
You think that's true in life? You think there's any problems with having a big house, for example? Surely not. I would guess no.
I couldn't tell if you were kidding there or not, to be fairly honest with you.
I'm kidding, yeah, I'm kidding. I heard a song called Mo Money, Mo Problems once about this. So this is the N2 that we can fill up on board. Let's see how much it costs. $900?
That's doable.
Yeah, that's doable.
That's an investment worthy of...
What about oxygen? You think we need that? Who needs oxygen?
Can't hurt. Top it up. It's like windshield washer fluid.
Okay, so we're topped off for a scavenging adventure here, and hopefully we'll see this scarcity system.
While you're getting started up there, I'll tackle 2 more questions. Is it going to be possible to catapult a towed ship, or is that too out there? So I think you could, and I think... So you can now. You can dock up to a ship, start flying, and then detach from it, and it'll continue on forever and ever. Watch out, whoever's in front of it.
Shit.
And I think you should be punished for doing that, because that's essentially stealing, just like taking the ship for yourself. There's no punishment yet, though, so you can just do it and get away with it. The other question is, what do you guys have planned for the wear and tear? I was curious if there was some sort of skill in ship repair or parts repair that a character can have. So that was something that was up for a feature vote back in... When did we do that?
What alarm? Oh, that alarm. Okay, sorry. That's the alarm going off. Okay. Sorry.
So it'll happen, and I think... So we're probably going to see, like, machinery wear down over time, potentially even like hull parts wearing down over time, and you can already repair some things, and it's kind of like a taste of how it's going to work. Like the Nav Station, for example, you can find a damaged one, and if you have the spare parts and the tools required, you can repair it, and if you have the skill, you can repair it even faster. And I think that's kind of the template that we'll do for a lot of things, where your skills determine sometimes whether you can do something at all, but definitely how well you can do something. And yeah, once the ship starts breaking down on you, it's going to be like a little bit of like owning a house, right? Like you fixed the roof 8 years ago, it's time to fix it again. It's just the nature of owning something like this.
So I undocked.
That answers the question.
I undocked with my outer airlock open, and so my outer airlock alarm, which I didn't even know I had, was the thing going off there. So I had to go back into my pressure suit, go out there, and close the door because it was just going off into deep space. So that's what that was. Normal day here.
Smarter NPCs says you undocked with K-Leg's airlock open. Oops.
Okay, did I kill everyone at K-Leg? Should I go back?
All your debts are canceled, on the plus side.
I mean, it's done now, right? Like, you know.
Did I kill my black market contact?
Did you...
You're going to have some trouble making your payments, too, I guess.
Wait, Corey, could you go back and look?
Yeah, but, I'm already going this direction. Okay, no, you're right. If I killed everybody in the station,
can...
I should look. You're right. Let's go back.
Okay. You might be able to close the door quick. That probably won't work, but...
It'll be interesting.
Are they all choking to death right now?
First bit of drama.
Hey, maybe you could rob their dead bodies for stuff, on the upside. I mean, you can't do that.
The problem is I might wreck.
Maybe.
Oh boy. You see, this boat is hard to turn around. I've never flown one that's this fat. It's a big boy. I'm wasting all this remass I just bought for what? To save a few scoundrels?
I think you're even going to be able
Hardly
to save
seems
them.
worth
it's really just to peer at their lifeless bodies and regret what you did.
Will I regret what I did? I guess we'll find out.
On the next episode.
Will folks at the station ever think for themselves that air is important and do something about it? So that kind of gets into a system that we're building now-ish or nearly in the future, where we want some more sophisticated behaviors on the AI now that some of the basics are done. And I think, solving air problems has to be one of them. Like if you talk to somebody and they promise to do something, they should follow through on that promise, whether it's following you or leaving you alone. So I think that's where that kind of stuff will come in, because we can probably do some more sophisticated, like, I need to get into a room with air, and without that I need to get an EVA suit, or maybe even fixing the air system on K-Leg, or maybe you've permanently destroyed K-Leg. I don't know. We'll have to.
I'm just thinking about how, like, the slower I dock here, the more people are slowly choking to death. I'm like, I don't think I run into it. Oh my god. This is a nightmare.
Did you come in askew again?
Son of a bitch.
Didn't learn the first time, did you?
Oh, man.
And yeah, you should be banned from stations for misbehaving.
Good lord.
I can think of a long list of reasons people on the station may never want you to come back again.
Is one of them leaving the
And
airlock
similarly,
open?
may never want you to leave, so...
Good luck enforcing the rules without any oxygen, OKLG. You know what? I
You could sell
slammed
them
into
some
the
oxygen
rock,
now.
but I think because my hole is so big, it didn't matter. Like, I don't think anything got ruptured.
Yeah, it's probably way back in the cargo area.
Because I've done that before, and it has wrecked my entire ship. I guess we'll see, but it seems fine. Oh no, yep, there's some new trash. So I definitely junked things up a bit. Whoops. Real comedy of errors going on here. First I kill everyone I know, then I bump my ship. What's gonna happen next? Please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. Hey guys,
Looking in here.
I'm back.
See anyone yet?
Hey everybody, I'm back.
I see some
wait.
conversations going on,
Oh,
so
hey.
that's...
I think they're okay.
Okay, everyone's fine. So I must have closed one of the doors. Thank God.
Well, they have air for a while. They've got some pumps up in the north end, but...
Well, let's close
This
all of
time,
them.
just remember to shut.
Shut your space doors after you, folks. Now, I just want to point out that was almost 15 minutes of in-game time that we've wasted just caring for others, which really goes to show you that you really should just...
When you're knocking on St. Peter's gates,
Yeesh.
then you want that accounted for?
I just think if I would have been selfish there and just been like, well, if they die, they die, that would have been 15 minutes of salvage I had. Should I check out the...
I'm sorry, Corey. Really, that was my fault. But I did have some like morbid curiosity.
It's a real cares thing to do to take other people's feelings into account.
And just to avoid docking with things, I guess. But
And it's a real Corey thing to do to slam into that asteroid by coming in at a cross velocity, because I've done that before. Well, I don't think I hit it that hard because there's nothing...
I think you've got some open air platform on the back end of the ship, which that could have been damaged. You
Oh,
always
that's just an open
pan over.
door. That's just an open door into space. I don't know why that happened.
Oh, okay.
There's a question in the chat. When do you think we'll be able to uninstall the TV so we can enjoy some space TV?
You know, it's not too hard to do that.
Oh, yeah, here's
it's
the
just
holes.
been one of those, like, further down on the list things. So it could happen very soon or in a while. Sorry for the vague answer there.
There is a new item that's like a screen, so that can be used to repair broken nav stations, and I guess theoretically you could slap it onto a TV in the future, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really like probably a half hour to 45 minutes of work, if even that. It might even be less. But whenever I've got that amount of time, I'm usually doing something like fixing a bug or trying to add something else. So I just have to think of it at the right time, and I could probably knock it out.
Shit, did
You
I forget
guys
to pay
need to
my
consider,
fees?
like,
Son of a bitch. Forgot to pay my
you guys
fees.
have to consider like how long it takes to put cat ears into the game. We've putting a lot of time into that at the moment.
Yeah, some things just take priority.
Yeah. I really am being very sarcastic. Like, the guys have been working incredibly hard on all of the new things that you see. Which is one thing that I'm really curious about is if people in the chat, if you've already played Ostranauts and you have been playing during early access, these changes that you're seeing with the mortgages, how do you feel about them? Because, like,
That's a
made
good question.
some comments, but I really want to see, like, are you excited about it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are
shit.
these enticing looking, or are these
Could I
frustrating looking, or-
done that from the boat? Could I have done that from my PDA? I think I could have. Paid my fees.
Yeah, you could have paid your bills that are outstanding, but you wouldn't have been able to refuel.
But I could have paid my docking fees.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I should have done that.
Airlock number 2.
Thank you.
Not a huge deal, but might as well.
It says open. I think it's like bugged.
Click on the kick plate floor thing. There you go.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear feedback on this mortgage loop too, because so far the only person who's explored it is Naiba. So balancing it is going to be a big deal. We've been talking a lot about that. Like, so far I'm under quite a bit of duress with this 18K loan.
It's a big difference from like 2 builds ago where people were rolling around with 1.4 million in cash just for selling a reactor off.
With nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you had tons of money and a lot of people on the forums just going, what do I do now? So this is maybe an overcorrection. People are going to probably struggle a bit to make ends meet. But I think it's probably closer to the final game in that doing an honest day's work shouldn't pay the bills, and
Right.
most of the game is going to be the side hustle.
Exactly.
Like if you're thinking of Firefly episodes where they're not just hauling boxes of widgets from point A to point B in every episode, they're like trying to offload some illegal salvage, or they're trying to help somebody that's got something over them, or just picking up odd jobs and trying to avoid the normal day-to-day grind.
Oh shit. My helmet. Telling me to take off my helmet. Forgot I was in it.
Good thing that audio alarm's there now, huh?
There was also a light down there that I could have looked at, but I clearly wasn't paying attention to that.
Someone asks, what happens when you run out of money?
Well, we're
We're about to find out.
yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
So right now,
It kind of depends why, I guess.
like if you miss a payment, it gets tacked on to the next shift plus a penalty fee, and they just keep piling up. And that's about it for now. There's no system beyond that, but I think the next logical progression of this system is if you don't pay your fees to, say, the K-Leg mortgage broker, or somebody else you owe money to there, you may not be able to undock anymore. And that should start to play into your calculus of, well, I need to go, like I need to refuel or top up on my oxygen, and the nearest place is K-Leg, but if I go there, I'm going to have to pay up. So I guess I'm going for an extra day or two of travel to Mars instead. Or the repo men are out after you because you've missed 3 payments in a row and the mortgage broker wants their ship back. I think that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about.
And now that this econ loop is in place and there's a reason to sort of make money, I mean, as you might imagine, we've already started to design the sort of like risks and rewards associated with going into debt with certain people and why it might matter that you haven't paid your mortgage. And so the short answer is, without spoiling much, is the more people you're in debt with, the more risk you've incurred, and basically
Fewer places you can hide.
Yeah, more scary shit that can happen to you, out there in space. Like basically, you could just fly away from your debts all your life if you want. It's just when they catch up with you, if the person gets onto your ship, I guess you gotta learn how to deal with them at that point. So
We got a comment from Stupid Dude.
whoa, come on, leave him alone.
It looks super cool, and I feel like it will make the game feel more alive and give us a purpose. Is there an end after you pay off the debt? There's nothing that happens when you pay off the debt yet, apart from the debt disappearing. And in some ways, like, getting out from under your debt is kind of like an early to mid-term goal. In the final version of the game, it'll be kind of like you start out with a debt, and your first goal is to get out of that debt as soon as possible because that's crushing. You're not really meant to pay it off. but I'd like there to be other things you do after you pay off your debt, which are more interesting, like helping friends and contacts and getting out of trouble that's caused by your enemies. And then a comment that Falk1989 made about the when you run out of money, the running out of money shouldn't be game ending. And I agree with that. Like, I feel like if we do our jobs well, there won't really be a game over apart from maybe just dying. But like every bad thing that happens to you should be kind of an opportunity for something new, like a new problem to solve rather than just, okay, quit, reload my game. So if we can play our cards right, then every problem is an interesting hurdle to deal with.
Yeah, if you've played Neo Scavenger, you know that the parts of the game that really stand out are the ones where stuff's really hairy and going wrong, and it's not stuff that it's all kind of procedurally generated, an emergent narrative from the system that Dan's created. We're working under those same
and I hard stopped you from quitting and reloading.
Right. But we're trying to work with those same design philosophies in mind in this game, where like we're kind of creating a bunch of systems that interact with each other in a such that little narratives will kind of emerge to you. For example, Naiba, when he did his playthrough, just got into a really bad relationship with his black market fixer until the black market fixer beat him to death, which is like, we didn't design that, but like kind of cool. Like,
yeah, I'm hoping those sorts of things happen, and that in tandem with that, people see those sorts of things and are able to kind of rationalize them in an interesting narrative way. So, the same way we are here, just kind of riffing and joking about the things we see the game doing. I'm hoping people are able to play it that way too, and just kind of see something happen in the game and make up a funny or interesting reason why it happened. Because I think even Neo Scavenger, that was kind of the thing, right? Like, there's limited information, limited animation and graphics, and you just kind of use your imagination to fill in the gaps.
this is a pen and paper RPG inspired experience after all. Always will be.
Yeah.
Oh, should we try to show the new door stuff? I guess I'd have to. Oh, I took out the Nav Station. Never mind. There's new.
Oh, Naiba's fixer's name was Destiny.
Wow.
Incredible. I just saw that. I love that.
Beat to death by Destiny. You know what's kind of funny? I've completely forgotten what the black market fixer wanted besides
Nav Station.
the Nav
I think it's
Station.
a reactor, right?
I believe that thing that was right in front of you just there.
The D20
was
tank?
something that they were offering a lot for. Yeah.
Anybody in the chat remember what Mia wants from us? Because I have forgotten.
While they're answering that, let's see. Will the corpse send some goons to remind you why you should pay? That totally fits in the universe.
Absolutely.
So leave that on the potentially yes list. What do you guys have planned for all the emotional stuff? Will there be actions we can do with NPCs to bring up our happiness, like dancing with them? Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's kind of that stuff in there now, but like I said before, it's a little bit flaky. But yeah, like, part of your maintenance as a human is going to be your social needs. And, whether you like it or not, you're probably going to have to interact with other people for one reason or another, and some of it might be to maintain your sanity. So yes, there are going to be kind of like social moves that you need to use, or that crew will need used to maintain their health.
That's very true, actually. Like, as someone who's been living alone during the lockdown, I found myself like going to like this cafe just to like spend more money than I should on food, just to sort of have someone to speak to regularly.
An excuse to be around people.
Well, the thing
Yeah, I
is,
mean, it's a very legitimate problem that NASA is wrestling with right now.
Totally.
The idea of spending 6 months on a trip to Mars is less of a technical problem these days and more of a people problem. Like, can we actually survive that trip? Will a team dissolve into madness on that trip? And I think there are some serious doubts.
Well, here's the funny thing. I think that with lockdown, especially the stuff in the UK, I think that there's probably a lot more people that will be able to do that now than previously. And I'm sure Josh won't mind me saying, but I think he knows what I'm going to say. Josh went through a period of a month where he just decided that this was the only time in his life during lockdown where he could just cut off from the outside world entirely for a month and just hang out on his own and not face any consequences. So he just did.
You went off the grid. That's tight.
Yeah. No, I deleted all the socials. You sort of exposed me here, Kiosk, but it's all right because
I think it's a funny point because I don't know many people that have ever been able to do that.
Certainly not a lot of social media managers who've done it.
No.
I think it definitely brought home the importance of social media.
Yeah.
You're a one-man island.
Did I get an answer about what Mia wanted, what our contact wanted? Because if not, I'm just gonna go see if I can find a reactor, because that seemed to be the only thing on the list that could really get me out of this hole I'm in.
Someone said reactor tanks.
Okay.
Equipment's not a bad thing to go for either. If you see crates lying around, you might find an EVA suit or something in there, and those are worth a fair amount, especially for their size.
Will they buy that back at the kiosk?
The kiosk will actually buy EVA suits and laser torches, which are pretty expensive. The pricing isn't great for them, but again, for their size, it's actually pretty good. But your highest value per space is probably the nav stations, the reactors, maybe near RCS intake.
Oh, you know what? There was 2 Miuras right there. I should have taken them. Shoot. Well, on to the next one.
We're not turning around.
Look, once you undock, it's over.
I mean, the amount of fuel it takes to turn around anyway.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we have enough to get back. That'd be unfortunate if we were coming back.
It's probably $500 or $700 to reverse course in this ship. You can basically do the math. Anytime you do a maneuver, it's $500 or $600.
Basically, I want this thing to be a third of the size because I kind of like that storage that I have back there that kind of drops parts off. That's been pretty cool. But it's too big to fly. It's hard.
More than I know what to do with. I think you only need 1 or 2 of those storage rooms.
It's hard to fly too. I've never flown one that feels this sluggish, and I think it's because it's just got 4 Kang RCS packages on it instead of this thing needs 3 Hydras or something. I guess I could have just taken those Hydras.
I think it actually has more. I think Nibel was saying 12.
What? This thing flies like a semi or something.
Like a slug, the slug of space.
Yeah. Is it what is this thing?
It's a freighter. What do you expect?
Yeah, it's true. What is it? It's a Testudo.
Mesa?
Is it on here? No, it's in. Oh, this is the Mesa? Okay.
You could probably select yourself in the map view to see the make and model.
By the way, check this out, everybody. Hello.
Oh, that's right. That's kind of a sneaky feature.
Thursby.
Hello.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So I can check.
No more data cards on the floor.
It's my PDA. Is that right? That I can name my ship in? I know we have better things to do, but...
We might as well show... I don't know. Half the people I don't think have even seen this UI because they just didn't know it was there, so it's not a bad idea to
Oh, so it is.
it.
It's a Testudo Mesa Mark 1 from 2041. It's 2079 right now, so... Pretty old ship.
38 years old.
Soul Girl can still move, though.
This ship might be older than K-Leg, in fact. So
it's kind of bigger than K-Leg right now, anyway.
it is. It's one of the big ones.
Let's just load everybody up on the Mesa and go on an adventure across the stars.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah. Generation ship.
Another question from Falk 1989. You mentioned more kinds of scanners in the future, like for telling what a ship is further out. Any chance of reinforced rooms to hide from police debt collectors? So scanning, I don't think it's going to be down to like stuff inside your ship, unless your ship had like a high energy object in it that was easily detectable from outside the hull. So I don't think you have to necessarily hide what you're carrying from a scan. That said, if somebody docks with you, hiding stuff from people walking around your ship is a different story. And in fact, there is a secret compartment object in the game, but I don't know how many ships actually have it and whether it can be uninstalled. So it may not exist.
That's cool
in practice, but it's pretty well disguised. Say if you get arrested, do you actually serve time in prison, or is that time simulated? Currently, you can't be, but we want to add that fairly soon as one of the potential outcomes of a bad officer run-in. And I think, so one way we could go forward with that is to kind of play it like we do with your career history. You know, you kind of go through a few encounter screens, you choose your outcomes, and then like it fast forwards behind the scene. Because I don't think players would really enjoy the prison life.
In the pokey?
Unless we built like a whole... What's that?
They wouldn't enjoy life in the pokey? The clink?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how much work we put into the prison system, and I feel like
it doesn't seem worthwhile.
While that would be cool,
yeah, I don't think it's this game.
The time it would take to build it would put off everything else. So I think we'd build the game before we built the prison system. So I think I'd expect the fast forward sort of narrative encounter screens approach as an early version of prisons. But the follow-up question there, it would be interesting to escape and get back to business with a new reputation as an escape artist. So that could totally happen even through narrative screens. Like you make contacts, you get some new leads on some interesting business, you now have a blemish on your history, or maybe you're an escaped convict and people are still after you. That, I think, is totally on the table.
What is keeping me from docking here? I keep was it because
you are almost out of gas?
Oh my god.
That's quite the type of their smarter NPCs.
Well, I knew I was burning a lot of remass. Trying to dock there. So the question
Time to call AAA.
The question is whether I spend this 400 remass trying to get on a safe trajectory back to K-Leg, or
I don't think you'll make it in 400.
So we just
you barely have enough to get up to speed, I think. So I would dock with this thing
and just hope there's nitrogen on it,
and use the mesa to retrofit whatever you're docked to.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, I'm having trouble
and then
docking.
everything else that you can't fit into the new... Well, let's find out what you're on first. I mean, you're so close. What are you, like... Yeah, you're practically at docking range anyway.
Well, every time I got close, it would just, like, sort of bounce off the ring. I don't know what was going on. It was like a gravity field or something. Very weird. Maybe it was just my cross velocity. Okay, it's working. We're good. We're good, everybody.
Everybody's breathless and silent. Is he going to do it?
We have docked.
All right, what do we got?
It's concentration.
It looks huge,
Yeah.
unless that's our ship. This is
Ooh, I think this is one of Naiba's hot rods.
Oh? Ooh, that'll be exciting.
Don't read the comments. What's that the name?
Yeah, it's called the Don't Read the Comments. All the ships have, like, comedic names, which we love.
Right, sorry chat. The ship's told us not to read the comments, so, we're not going to read you anymore.
Oh no, don't do that.
We do read the comments. Most devs tell you don't read the comments, but we read them all the time.
I know we do.
Absolute
Far too
gluttons for it.
active.
Dan can't stay away from a good comment.
Someone said, should have read the manual.
I really should have.
The good news is, if you can get this little ship up and running, you've got enough leftover RCS remass to probably fly a decent amount on a little ship.
Does it
Although
have?
it looks like it's in pretty rough shape.
Pretty wrecked. I could repair. Does it even have a nav station? Well, I have a nav station. Like, if I could repair it, but it doesn't have an intake regulator, does it? Isn't it supposed to have like 4 intake regs right here? Like 4 engines.
Well, you got your work cut out for you.
Folks, not looking great. Let's clean up some trash and see what life has in store.
Start picking some trash up and see what you can find.
How are we on time, Karis?
Ooh, it's 5:04 here.
I'm
I've
just
probably got
going-
about 20-25 minutes before I have to run.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going quicker than anticipated. So if anyone has any more questions, shoot them our way whilst we can start answering them for a few more minutes. Especially if they're on kind of the updates that we've shown. That would be really nice. And also, even though we didn't respond to them, like talking about them live, we have read your comments about what you think about it, and that they're actually really helpful. So thank you.
I'm carrying a lot of garbage right now.
Could you, in theory, mash ships together and end up with a bit of a Space Hulk mishmash? Absolutely. And Naiba is one of our resident experts in doing that. I think Naiba's converted the starting pod into all manners of other things, Ship of Theseus style. So, yes, you could theoretically make any ship you want. The only piece you can't currently move is the docking ring. And until we figure out a good solution for handling that, it's basically a ship can be stripped down to the docking ring. And then K-Leg has some sort of only K-Leg can have this parts, which you can't uninstall yet. But you can otherwise build these things Lego style into any shape or configuration you want.
Well, good news is there's an N2 tank here, so that's a little bit of fuel. The problem is I don't know if one is enough.
How much is in it?
It's full. I mean, it's...
40 megapascals?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a full tanker. I don't know how far that'll get a Mesa, but...
That's the thing, like, because I filled up, I mean, how many tanks were on there? I filled up, like, if Naiba's right and there's 12 tanks, I filled up 12 and could barely get out here. I'm gonna install it and see where it takes my RCS and my other ship. And if that doesn't
Can't
work,
hurt, right?
yeah, if that doesn't work, we'll just do what you said, and I'll just take out our nav station or use our spare one, I guess, install it in here. But then our whole game plan is kind of loaned in terms of paying back our mortgage. So really kind of in a pickle here.
Well, it probably wouldn't be... I don't think you'll do it in 20 minutes, but in a play session, it wouldn't be hard to retrofit a small ship like that so that it's functional again, especially given all of the material you've got on the Mesa to work with.
Oh, no, I think I could repair it, but then I'm just saying, like, what am I doing? Supply runs back and forth to pay off the fixer? Because
You're basically darting around getting the good stuff and leaving the bigger stuff behind.
that might be a good way to do it. Yeah, maybe that's the best way to do it. Interesting.
Naiba says there's less than 12 tanks. There's 12 thrusters, not intakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go find those.
Also, big question. When can players expect to see this patch in their hands? Like, do we know? Do we have, like... time
Well, we're pretty
frame?
close. So there's... If I had to estimate, maybe a day or two worth of effort left on the things we for sure wanted in there before we'd release it. And barring any surprises there, like maybe early next week or mid next week would be the soonest. But whenever we release kind of new stuff for the closed Ryoka beta testers, inevitably we find one or two things we hadn't anticipated, which is why it's been taking so long. So we could drop that 1 or 2 days worth of work into their laps, and then they come back to us and say, well, now we can't do this, or this is really hard to do, or wouldn't it be great if you could do this other thing, and then we'll have to sort of see from there. But
yeah, we have a small group of, like a very, very tiny group of beta testers, which have helped us with the previous kind of larger patches that came this way this year. So you probably remember when we put out all the tile sets and kind of items for ships. They helped us a lot with trying to put that together and make that fun as well.
yeah, whenever it's a more substantial change, it's always been better if we let a small group kind of play test it before the larger group gets a hold of it. Because we have done some like bare metal patches straight out to everybody, and the patch rate is faster then, but then people run into problems more often. So it feels like a trade-off. Like either we get fewer patches with more cool stuff and less bugs, or more patches with more bugs and less stuff per patch. So I guess we're still kind of feeling that one out. But yeah, hopefully, like sort of a gut feeling here in the next week or so, we should have something that everybody can get their hands on.
I could also take out my nitrogen from my environment system here and install that. They each have...
That's true.
They each have enough. So that's an option. And then I could also go home and uninstall my own reactor and sell her that back. Let's try that. Let's see where we get. Let's see if we can get home.
That's kind of the point of the game, isn't it? It's about making what you've got work rather than trying to make the perfect ship right away.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it's just the fact that we had the perfect ship and it didn't turn out as perfect as we thought is very interesting to me. Like, I would have thought at the beginning of this, like, oh, this is going to be an easy run. But what I wasn't anticipating was how much gas this thing takes to fly. So now I've learned.
Somewhat accidental, but that's kind of a good indicator of how the game will go long term too, right? Like you might get the perfect large frigate to fly around, but it's going to take people, it's going to take resources to keep that thing running, and it's not like you have to work your way up to something like that or be prepared to cut some corners.
Turning these off. I'm gonna strip them out. Oh, the other one's up there. I'm also turning you off. Actually, no, just keep it like that. Okay.
There's a question, will there be melon heads? They seem like they might be from space, honestly. So, I don't want to spoil it and say no. Melon heads are actually a regional cryptid that are from a few different places in the United States, one of which is Michigan, but there are a couple other places that have similar mythologies, and they're usually believed to be kind of escaped mental patients or children who had hydrocephaly. They're not actually aliens, even though they kind of look like them. At least that's the myth down on Earth. Up in space, we have some other myths, which you'll already see a couple kind of mentioned in the headlines on the TV in K-Leg, some sort of tastes of what's to come there. But yeah, there's going to be stuff like that up in space for sure.
I just almost killed myself while you were talking, but I luckily didn't.
I heard some alarms.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm good now.
Tell us about the turbo pump and sensor in the airlock. Can we evacuate before opening now? Yes, you can. That's actually what a lot of the turbo pumps you see on ships nowadays are set up for that. You can evacuate the airlock, walk in there, close the door, and then like pump it up to act like a real airlock. It's slow though. Like in the real world, that kind of thing takes a half an hour to do safely, but in the game, it'll still take you probably like 5 minutes to do it right. But yeah, you can do that if you want.
There's been N2 canisters on board this whole time.
Hey, look at that.
Oh no!
Do it full inventory next time.
Oh my god. I am a true. But who let me in space?
Oh no.
You're just doing that to make new players feel better, right?
Man, I mean, I'm stoked, and we're not gonna die out here, but that's hilarious. I was just like, well, time to dismantle our oxygen or like our environmental system so that we can merely get home. Turns out,
It's kind of a sad point too, because
Good
I
to go.
think we're probably gonna wrap it up right there.
oh yeah, sorry.
So sorry.
I could
Corey.
save this. I don't know, whatever. I'll save it and maybe pass the save file if somebody else wants to take us home or something. But yeah, let's wrap. I'm good to wrap up.
All right.
You guys are.
One more question before we go, maybe. The SCP-343, are we going to see some real beds or are we stuck with the floor? I think eventually we're going to see more furniture. You can sleep on a pile of clothes or you can sleep on a bedroll right now, and they're just there as a proof of concept, but eventually I can imagine permanent bunks and other things, creature comforts. Yeah, we should probably wrap things up. We've been at it for a while.
Cool. Well, that's been the story of Ursula Highsmith trying out this new mortgage system. When we do release, please do tell us about your experience, because the main thing we're going to have to tweak is some of these numbers about how much your mortgage is and how long it takes you, if it's possible to pay it off. And so just, be vocal in the Discord. We love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah. You are literally helping us develop this game into something we'll all enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
We have ideas, but sometimes those ideas are better than others, and we look for feedback on everything we do. So
Yeah. Also, remember, in the next week and a half or so, or like midway through next week, this patch may be out. So keep your eyes on the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, it's linked on the Twitch, so you can check that out. And if you aren't already playing Ostranauts, if you could give it a wish list, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
And if you are playing it and haven't reviewed it yet on Steam, hugely helpful to
Very
review
helpful.
on Steam. So please do that as well.
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll catch you guys later.
We'll see you next time. We tend to do these every 3 weeks, and we post up an announcement beforehand. So
All right.
Yeah.
See you later,
We'll
guys.
see you all next time. Thanks again for joining us.
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.